So we've seen the for loop as a way to do loops, and there is another way in Python, which is the while loop. So the while loop is maybe less relevant for mathematics, but we should still see it because it's important in the Python language. So I copy pasted what's on the left. So let's see the first example. So here is count, a counting variable, and I assign first the value 0. And while count is less than 9, I'll print the value of the count, and then I'll increment count by 1. So you can see what happens. I first print 0, then 1, 2, 3, and then 8, and then I add 1 to 8. I'm now at 9, and I test the while loop condition, and that condition fails. So that's it. I'm exiting the while loop. And I decided to print goodbye. Now we're out of the loop afterwards, and so this is the result. So the while loop will do a check, and if the check is satisfied, then it will enter the while block, and if the check fails, it will exit. Now you have to make sure that at some point the while check will fail, otherwise you will keep on iterating forever. So here, by incrementing by 1 each time, I made sure that at some point the test here would fail, and so I would exit the while loop. If you don't do this, then you end up with infinite loops. So the easiest way to create an infinite loop is like this. While true, then this will always evaluate to true. So I can say, let's say I print still true. And if I execute this, then there we go. You don't see it, but I am actually, if you look on the right, you see that I'm printing a bunch of still true. You see it here with my marker going up. So now I break with Control-C, and I'm out of this infinite loop. Okay, so this is always fun. Now, what else can you do with while? Well, you can do an else, precisely. Just like with fors, you could do elses. So here, let's see an example. And this example works with input. So input provided with a string will print that string and will ask for the user's input. So there is a secret here, which is 7777. There is no guess to start with, and while the guess is not secret, then we'll ask for a new guess. And it will do that up until guess is equal to secret, and then I exit the while loop, except that before completely exiting here, I'll execute the else part as well. So let's see. If I enter 11111, this fails the guess. But if I enter 7777, then this is fine, and I've realized the guess, so I've realized the condition, or I've failed to satisfy the condition of while. So now I exit the while loop, but before that, I execute the else part. Oops. The else part is here, so you did it. Okay, and you could use else for for, but you can also use break, and it's the same for while. So let's see this. So now the secret is 66666, and there is no guess still. While the guess is not equal to the secret, it will ask for a guess up until I find the right answer, where it will print you did it. And there is one exception. If the guess is equal to stop, then it will print unfortunately you are tired of this game, and it will break. And break will mean it gets out of the while loop completely. It doesn't even execute the else part. It's just it. So if I enter here 111, it's not happy. It wants me to enter something again. If I enter the exact secret, it would say you did it and be done, just like it did before here. So instead, let's be more interesting, and let's enter stop. And I have to enter that in quotes, and this is due to input, to particularities of this function. So let's do that. I enter stop, and here it says, unfortunately, you are tired of this game, and that's it. I've exited the while loop. Okay, so this was for break. And I should have said none is a special value that you usually give in Python when you don't really know what other value to give, but you still want guess to be defined. And indeed, you want guess to be defined because you want to compare guess to the secret. So that's the value of none here is, the advantage of none here is that it gives a value to guess, which is not really significant if you want. But still, guess has a value, so it can be compared to secret. Okay, so this was for break, and now we'll see how to use continue. So similar example like before. So I've printed, And now it asks me for an input, a natural number. And if I guessed 5555, it would be happy and say, you did it, you are a tiger. Okay, I don't want that. I don't want to be a tiger. So instead, I'll have to enter something else. So if I enter stop, like before, it would say, unfortunately, you are tired of this game, and would break. And that would be it. I don't want that either. I want the program to ask me for another input. And so I'll have to enter a negative number. So let's say -2 here. And I'm here now. So I will kindly ask you not to enter a negative number. And then it continues. And the point is that it went back here and it didn't do what it does otherwise if you print something, if you guess something wrong, which is another wrong guess, to print another wrong guess. So if I enter -2 or something negative, it just tells me to enter a negative number, but it doesn't print this part here, because indeed continue makes Python jump back to the beginning of the while loop and iterate again, basically. Unlike break, which broke off completely from the while loop. So it's a very similar behavior as for, but this time it's with while. And the main distinction between while and for is that while tests all the time one condition, and it tests before executing the very first loop.